written, bridges burn. Space demands your everything. Only don't reach you now. For such a trade for it feels. Victory obtained no way. Fly dangerous. Fly dangerous. Fly dangerous.
Why? Why do you do it? You explore for fame, perhaps for glory of being the first, or maybe you desire to be rich. It needs to be done. Someone has to do it. Explore the galaxy. Be the first. Be famous.
Oh, where no one's ever gone before. Exotic new life, wondrous nebula. Explore the galaxy. Explore the galaxy. Explore the galaxy.
Elite dangerous, Commander. Elite dangerous. What if I'm there? Go find out. What if I'm there? What if I'm there?
Another star on my display, calling out from far away, calling out from far away. No one's been here before me now. I'll find a way, don't matter how. Through the dark and endless night, past the points of fading light. Every world that catches my eye makes me want to touch the sky. And I know that I was made for this. Every system holds another gift. Every horizon calls my name. Nothing left to hold me back again. Out here where the stars are bright and new, there's always one more frontier to break through. Break through. Shots are blank and sensors clear. All these wonders drawing near. Let them say it can't be done, while I'm chasing distant suns. In my ship I feel alive, as these cosmic waves I ride. Every scan reveals the way to places where I'll make my way. We are all explorers at heart, born to push the boundaries of art. Time to rise, time to fly, beyond what meets the eye. Beyond. Every horizon calls my name. Nothing left to hold me back again. Out here where the stars are bright and new, there's always one more frontier to break through. Break through. I hear the call of distance, and I know I found my place. Oh, found my place.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Nobody. This absolute chaos is proudly sponsored by Nobody. That's right, Nobody brings you this content because, frankly, nobody cares about your entertainment. With Nobody in your corner, you're guaranteed a front row seat to, well, whatever this is. Nobody offers zero support, zero quality, and absolutely nobody to answer your complaints. Why settle for something when you can have nothing with Nobody? So grab a drink, mute your expectations, and enjoy the show, because nobody is watching, and nobody cares about your content enjoyment. Thanks to Nobody, we're live, unfiltered, and probably unhinged. Let's get this train wreck rolling.
Good morning. Hey, Options, welcome in. I don't have any popcorn. That needs to go in my list. I gotta go shopping today. Hope you're having a good day. I'm out here at Rendezvous Point with the Distant Worlds 3 group. Bunch of people out here. But I'm just gonna go off and do my own thing for right now, as normal. I don't know if y'all watched the last stream. That might have been... That might not have been on Twitch. At any rate, I found a carbon dioxide world, and it was blue. It really was cool looking. If you didn't see that, there's pictures on Discord. Yeah, I was on Kick-In on YouTube, so there's multi-streaming. But and the reason it was blue is it was being eclipsed by the gas giant it orbited in the It's really cool. I did go back though. I put pictures on X. I don't know if I put them all on Discord, but I did go back when it wasn't in eclipse and it looked perfectly normal. So that was really cool to see. At any rate, I have plotted a course already, and I'm debating whether I want to change the star filters. I think I will, because I'm not going to be doing just exobiology. I'm really going to be doing, maybe I'll have more odds of stumbling across something without the filter in place right now. So let me pick another plot and just take whatever we get. And I just picked a thing off in the distance way over here. Didn't really matter where. Just over this way. As long as there's stars. And I want to go down a bit. Oh, I think I'm already down a bit. May not be many stars this low. Let's see. Yeah. We're not going to make it this far, so I'm just giving you a destination downward slant here to cut across. Now we're definitely not going 3,000 light years. Probably not. Now I feel bad. I'm going to be skipping over so many stars, but we'll get some distance, and we may or may not decide to change some things. I'm currently on one of the Distant Worlds carrier. They finally arrived. At least this one arrived. 3 Genkings carriers have been here for what, 2 or 3 days before these guys arrived. And I arrived early. Now let's go see. Hope you got a good day planned there, Options. Me? I plan to stream, go to the store, do a few things, stream again, and probably stream again. I'll be streaming here probably twice today, depending on real life, and once on YouTube and Kick. So I'll be busy today. Probably doing the same thing I'm doing now, but just in different places. I can't believe I'm up this early. I woke up at 3 o'clock. It's 4:44 a.m. here right now. So I had time to get some coffee in me. I may have to let the dog in. She's snuffling or whatever under my door, telling me I can hear her out there. So what are you doing in game, Options, lately? 10 bodies here, but we have lines, and we got, I'm not even going to check, there's already fully populated radars. Let's get a little further, and we'll start looking. Class L brown dwarf, there we go. Yeah, you were telling me about your vet and the heat problem or power problem. I guess it was heat. Said you'd work that out. I figured you'd sort that out. You already got. Look at these. People need to stop exploring so much. I don't know why I'm sitting here. I'm trying to. See how I looped around the star there out of habit, just scooping? You can't scoop that type of star, Commander. And another brown dwarf. Maybe I'll set my filter so that I don't get this type of star. But things happen around brown dwarfs too, so... What I'm really thinking of doing is replotting with economy mode, so I don't skip over so many stars while there's a bunch of stars closer together. I don't know. One star, another star, you know. The good news is my motherboard should be out for delivery in a little bit. It's near here, according to the United States Postal Service. Can't scoop this star, Commander. You're an idiot. When I say new motherboard, I mean my replacement motherboard. It's a used motherboard. You already know that, but other people watching may not know it. I have another computer that the motherboard may... I hope it's the motherboard. It may have an issue, and I'm hoping this will fix it. It was a cheap motherboard anyway. Well, I guess at the time it was new. It might not have been super cheap, but to replace it off of eBay was cheap. So let's see what we have here. The hell is all of this chat crap coming in? We only have icy bodies here. I am definitely changing the filter because I don't want a bunch of icy bodies. I want something exotic. Also in that CO2 world there was Recepta. That's why I was going there. I didn't even know, I noticed the blue tint to it. Can't tell it was blue. But until I went there to surface map it. Nothing here. I need a scoopable star. Give it to me. There we go. Oh, I see ads are running. Oh well. Don't expect a lot of excitement. Maybe we'll come across something good. I don't know. I did check the... I was looking at the Distant Worlds 3... oh, hang on. Okay. Trying to get that out of my system. At any rate, nothing here. Just checking out the Distant World. Jesus Christ, Commander. You're wanting a scoopable star, but did you scoop? No. You might want to slow your ass down to do this, though. Batting 1,000. You're a professional gamer here, guys. You can tell. Where am I going? Where's the damn star? Not fully awake yet, I guess. Okay, but I do want a good scoop. And I was looking at Distant Worlds 3's Discord, trying to figure out what they might be doing. I want to do at least one thing with the group. One of their missions or something. Let me bring up Metal Lens and see if it has anything to offer. It may throw some overlay on the screen, which would be not helpful, but Metal Lens Launcher. Metal Lens is a program that has mission data and stuff like that for the Distant Worlds 3. I can read that on that monitor way the hell over there. Oh, I turned the overlays off. Let me turn them back on. Never mind. I just closed the program. Accidentally. So I don't need it anyway for doing what I'm doing. Let's go. Sometimes I wonder what I just stick to doing what I know what to do. Of course, if that motherboard does get here, I don't know what. Don't know how much. I don't know if I get it installed. I will hook it. Probably get it hooked up and get the CPU installed and thermal paste and the fan and everything, just to test it without even installing it in any case, to make sure that fixes the problem. I'm not going to go to the trouble of putting it in the case unless it, it solves the issue. I'm pretty sure it will. If the motherboard works at all, I'm sure that'll fix the issue. 3 stars here. Nothing to be seen, folks. Move along. I need to check the weather also. It's supposed to get super cold again here. I don't know if that's going to start tonight or tomorrow night. That kind of might determine a little bit about what I do today. To prepare. Not as cold tonight. Arctic front moves in Friday. I just want to know what the temperature forecast is supposed to be tonight. Oh, that's not too bad. Oh, what? What? 24 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. That's Fahrenheit for you guys in Europe. 31 bodies, nothing on radar, so it's ours to scan and see what joys await us. Let me get my window back. I dropped in a streamer earlier I hadn't followed before I followed him, and it was just perfect timing for him. He'd been working hard to get a rear admiral rank so he can get a federal Corvette, and he was just turning in his last thing to get promoted to rear admiral. So I got to watch him do that, and then he was like saying, he was telling me he had waited and worked so hard to get that Corvette, and then he went to buy a Corvette. I got to watch him do that, and that was cool. I remember doing that. That was a long time ago, but I remember doing that. I was kind of lucky though when I got mine. It's kind of like options, kind of like you and the Thargoid Scouts making elite, at least getting it faster. In the sense that I was lucky in the timing that there was a station in Seoul that was attacked by those terrorists, and it was burning, and they had rescue missions to go rescue people, and they were handing out reputation and things all over the place. So I made
carbon dioxide
I made Rear Admiral pretty fast, and that helped a whole lot. Excuse me. There is a planet with life here. Of course, I was chatting away and I didn't notice how much life.
Body 3H. Landable with atmosphere.
Yeah, there's life there, but nothing of high
Carbon dioxide
value.
atmospheric landable with life.
But I remember those days. I also remember getting my cutter too. It seems like to me the cutter was more work because they didn't have the burning station rescues to help. I made rank fast with the burning station thing.
Body 4A. 5 of 6 premium boost materials. Body 4CA. Nested moon. Body 4C. Landable with atmosphere. Ammonia atmospheric landable with life.
You traded for your cutter? I never did a whole lot of trade. I never, I thought about getting into one of those routes, where you're constantly just going around, and each station you can buy, you sell there, you pick up some more material, go to the next station, sell that, and you just what do they call those routes or loops or something, and doing that stuff. I did a couple of those, but that's just not my thing. I don't know how I can spend literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours doing exobiology and stuff, and then turn around and complain about, you know, something like trade and everything being repetitive or boring. Because everything's boring after you do it enough times, but at least I can tolerate doing this. I did do some
Body 4B. Landable with
passenger missions and stuff
Ammonia
at
atmospheric landable with life.
Ribogo. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Body 4BA.
I did a bunch of those at one time.
Nested moon.
Yeah,
Parent has high angular
Ribogo.
diameter from
It's not the
body.
spelling that gets me; it's how to say it.
Calling out from far away. Calling out from far away.
Of course, anyone that knows me at all knows I mispronounce words all the time. I grew up very book smart, honestly, but there are words in books, you know, that you read, but you really don't know how they're pronounced. And so I know, you know, I had a great vocabulary when I was growing up, but I didn't know how to say the words.
Every system holds a
Robbie Go. Yeah, you say so. Robbie Go. Just like it's spelled. I know that.
out here where the stars are bright.
Oh, is that a green gas giant hiding there? You know there's a green gas giant hiding here somewhere. That would be nice. Not. Welcome in, Knocker.
Sensors clear.
How are you, my friend?
Let them say it can't be done. While I'm chasing distant suns.
In my ship I feel alive as these cars make way.
Okay.
Every scan reveals the way to places where
I have no idea what time it is there in Australia. Probably beer time.
explorers at heart, born to push
What? You're not very annoying. 7 p.m. Well, it's definitely beer time then. I thought there was more of a difference in time. Well, I guess there is. Okay. What is that? Is that 14 hours? It's 5 a.m. here. All right, let's see what we're dealing with here in the system. Of course it's not going to work.
every horizon calls my name. Nothing left to hold me back.
You would think buying. Let me go full screen. I think I've got it there. You would think by now I would have mastered the stupid OBS
I hear the call of distance. And I know I've
and clearly label the source for, because I show it all the time. Oh, for heaven's sake. Oh, it changed versions. That's what it is. My bad. Okay. Couldn't find the right window because it was 1.4.2. Now it's 1.4.3. At any rate, guys, here's what we have here.
and me. Scanning every system.
Not a whole lot. First of all, I'm just looking at the monetary values to see if there's anything that stands out at super high value. No. 5 bios, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of these will drop off. I'm willing to, and it's probably going to be the Aliota.
Stars. How many
4 BIOS. Same thing again. 5 BIOS. This is different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only one thing's gonna drop off. I wonder which it would be. I bet it would probably be the Concha. See, if this was guaranteed, I would go there, but I can guarantee it's going to drop off. Well, so I'm just going to ignore everything in the system and keep moving. Those are real common. Here. It looks like this. That's Farah. Man, it's pretty common. And what's the other one you don't recognize? Oh, Arcus. That's real common. Here. Yeah. And this is the one I always talk about. Looks like tussock, but it's got a ball on its end. It makes it, easy to differentiate. And what you're looking at here, people, is the Elite Observatory BioInsights plugin. It's very helpful. Be sure you get it. At any rate, let's press on. My plan on this stream probably lasting about 3 hours. Then I have to go grocery shopping, get that out of the way, and make breakfast. Well, you can't see my face when I said breakfast. I don't know if you're in the Distant Worlds 3 Discord, but they have a competition going on with pictures. I haven't submitted any, but there are lots of nice looking pictures there. So, pretty much like the ones I take, but better, honestly. Some people are just talented. I'm just not artistic, I'll see the same things, they do or something, but they'll get a much better picture. Nothing here? I didn't even check the count. Okay. What has Ocker been up to? Has Ocker been streaming? I have a new thing for shout outs. It shows video clips and stuff. I need to get that going. I used to have one, but it broke. Or something changed and it broke, but I have a new one to try to use.
Your transmissions paint the darkness with tales of worlds. No one has.
We have 21 bodies here. It's the big bad bombastic Bacardi-san, and we're going to be cruising through the system and mapping and scanning things. Looking for biology.
Every star knows your name, Commander. Every star knows your name. Through the cosmos you reign, Commander.
Or notable stellar phenomena. Or Earth-like planets. Speaking of, is that a water world? Yeah.
Alien sand, moving fast through hyperspace, setting records none can trace. Databanks filled
Nothing.
inspiring all our kinds. Commander B, they speak of thee in stations through the galaxy. Your ship's signature in the dark, like a soul.
Big bad bombastic biology bashing by Cardisan. Yeah, that's me.
I watch your signal growing stronger.
Back before I had a gravelly nasal sounding voice.
Oxygen atmospheric landable with life.
Aw,
May host a new
man.
personal codex entry.
That's Volu bacteria. We might go get it just on principle, but when I heard oxygen, I was like, oh, be fluctus, but it's not. Hopefully it'll be a nice atmosphere. A lot of oxygen worlds have really cool blue skies like Earth. If it's dense enough.
Into infinity, your light guides me. Every star knows your name.
Body B4.
Cheap
Landable
bacteria.
with atmosphere. Argon atmospheric
Cheap
landable with life.
bacteria.
Body B3. Landable with atmosphere. Argon atmospheric landable with life.
Standing at the
Nada.
look ahead.
Nada.
Single footprint where you tread.
Where's this water world hiding at?
Maps show nothing but endless dark.
Body B7A. Landable with atmosphere.
Your courage
Argon
lights the
atmospheric
mark.
landable with life.
When others turn away, you press on through.
Okay.
Every mile takes
We
you
have a water world all by itself somewhere.
before you stretches wide. No one else has tried.
Body A1. High value body. Meets mapping criteria. System discovery
Alright,
complete.
well, there's nothing here
First
except
body to map
bacteria
is
and
A1.
fonticular cheap one, except for the Volu. Bacteria Volu. Cyan. And it's 7.77 million. Huh. That's on planet A3.
Distant shores.
So we'll go to A3 just for the fun of it. And we won't go home empty-handed.
Each
Well, it's not even far.
another sign of worlds that you'll make mine. The voice inside keeps pushing strong. Though the journey feels so long.
It's good timing that I'm going grocery shopping today because the cats ran out. I ran out of canned cat food.
Beyond the edge,
Cats are mad at me.
like a
Not, not that the cats are out of food, they're just out of canned cat food. Give cats canned cat food normally, you give them drier food, but because I have so many cats, I can't afford to give, canned food all the time. But they expect it. I'm just trying to spiral in to blow off some steam here. Speed. You can already see the bluish tint though from the atmosphere.
of places we once thought of.
Okay.
Your name will mark these charts.
Looks like it might have a good atmosphere from the ground. I mean, it'll be blue.
The message that you send us back lights a fire on this track.
Okay.
For those who dare follow.
They also have an Earth 2 competition in the Distant Worlds thing. I guess that I don't know the rules or anything, but I assume it's to find the most Earth-like world. Gravity, size, and things like that. Temperature. I've come to the
Mapping
conclusion
complete.
that
Next body
basically
to
it's
map
just a
is
big
A1.
event to get people to do
Body
something.
A3.
Mm.
May host a new personal codex
I don't
entry.
know. Not necessarily to discover brave new worlds. It looks like it's everywhere on the run. Well, I was going to go around the other side, but I think we're on the daylight side already. It's everywhere. Let's just go get some. Let's go. Get her done. If I'm not mistaken, it should stand out pretty good on this soil. What can I do to get rid of this dirty message things? Get rid of that message notification thing there. Alright, let's go see. .43G, Commander. That might be something to consider. I'm already seeing it. It's hard to believe it's rendering that fast. Right color though. That looks amazingly like a rock to me. Okay. It's like, is that already rendering? That makes more sense. Find us a smooth patch and see what stands out. There we go. Look at that blue sky. Game is good. Has no flaws. Tweedle Las Vegas 07. Welcome in. How are you today?
New biological and geological codex entry. Bacterium Balu, Cyan. New codex entry. Bacterium Balu, Cyan. Bacterium Balu confirmed present. Base value 7.77 million. Minimum sample distance 500 meters.
I'm out here
First
with the
partial
Distant
sample
Worlds
collected.
3 people, of course. Or on the same, I'm in the group with them. I'm just out here on my own doing things. Hey, no worries. I do that all the time. Feel free to lurk away. Find us a clear patch. There'll be some more, hopefully.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 ads starting in 1 minute. Previous
Oh
sample.
boy, more ads. Just what you guys came in for. Oh, it's trolling me. I see how it is. Okay. Alright. Huh. It just magically appeared. You see that? It just rendered in. Just like, I'll just pop in right here and maybe he'll see me. It's no fair. I'm gonna show up at the last minute. Makes it hard to find something if it doesn't show up.
mission control. You won't believe what I'm seeing right now. New forms of life, colors beyond our charts. First contact achieved.
You have gravity.
Second partial sample collected.
I really know I should be talking and saying and greeting everybody and things, but I just woke up a little while ago, so it's going to take me a while to get motivated. So, expect to hear music unless you guys are talking. I probably won't talk. I say that, but then I end up talking all the time.
Into mystery, Commander, you showed us what we could be.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Just seeing if one magically appears. There is one right there. It didn't magically pop in, but it's right there. Quit. Fly, Commander. Here. They've tried to put me on statins several times for cholesterol, but my cholesterol is not super bad. And I get leg cramps in the middle of the night from statins, and I said, fuck that. Pardon my language, I said, fuck that. And we are not doing that, because that freaking hurts. I don't know if you ever been woke up in the middle of the night with just this, shark chewing on your thigh or calf muscle or something. After that happened a couple of times, I was like, nope, not happening. We're done here.
Sample collection complete.
The doctor goes, well, we can change that. Oh, nope, never mind. I'm just not doing it. My cholesterol's not that bad, and I'm not worried about it. No, you shouldn't either. Okay, we are done on this world. Let's press on. I assume the statins is for cholesterol. Are you not going to let me lift off? Oh. Yeah, I know about the magnesium and stuff and potassium, but bananas is, you get more potassium from bananas, but I've had, in my experience, had been prescribed statins a lot. I mean, they just throw them out like candy for that, for, your cholesterol, and I'm like, you can't even tell me for sure, the correlation of putting someone on statins and life expectancies and stuff. And not only that, that is akin to putting your hand on a hot stove. You learn real fast not to do that. I'm not going to do it. Not going to happen. I mean, I would take it if my cholesterol was super high or something. Excuse me, I might do it, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. That's just me, though. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my advice on that matter. I'm not doing it because it hurt. I'm not risking the cramps again. It's terrifying. I got to go to the doctor, though. I need to get an eye appointment, I guess, to get new glasses. I don't know. I need to check and see. I know TRICARE, that's one of my insurers, used to basically give you a free set of cheap glasses every 3 years or 2 years or something. I need to check to see if they still do that. I haven't really used that since I got out of the Air Force, but because I've always had other insurance, and TRICARE has always been a secondary insurance. But I don't know. I don't really have it. I don't think I was in the Fed VIP thing with an eye care thing. I'll have to check see if that's still active. I don't know. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Glasses can be real expensive or they can be not that expensive. I've always had like the ones you can grab and bend and everything because I made money. I had a good job and good insurance and stuff, and now things are different. You know, I don't care if I get some what we call birth control glasses. The Air Force, you know, the Air Force military issue ones. I used to be pretty just black framed, you know, black rim plastic type framed glasses. We called them BCGs. The BCGs are birth control glasses because if you wore those, you know, no woman wanted to date you. Well, the ones near the military bases did, but you know, not normal women. I didn't check the hunk value. What did we get here? I mean, I'm in exceptional form today. Usually I'm a little more able to multitask, but evidently this morning, if words are coming out of my mouth, I can't play at all. Let's get this crap out of the way. Stop lighting up. Nothing here but crap anyway. Everyone wants icy bodies. I'd like to come across a notable stellar or something. Or green gas giant. A green gas giant would be good. Oh my goodness. We have a high metal content. Oh my goodness. Is it nothing? It's nothing. That's what it is. I wonder if the switch in this joystick, one of the joystick buttons, I have to press kind of hard sometimes to get it to work. I wonder if that's something I can take this apart and clean or something. Probably a sealed switch though, I don't know. My hand is hurting. I know you're concerned about my hand. It's still a little swollen, but I'm beginning to think that the cat might have injured a tendon or something a little bit. I mean, it's not, but it's still so sensitive. If I hold it vertically, like above my heart, it doesn't really hurt or anything. But if I put it down low, just the increased swelling of the veins or something makes my hand hurt, you know, because it expands the volume inside the hand a little bit. I take magnesium supplements. It's a chelated or whatever blend. I mean, I take, you know, daily vitamins and supplements and stuff. And I have Epsom salts too, but the scab now, here, I'll try to show you. Not that you really care. I don't know if this is bright, you know. That's hard to turn my hand around that way. This may be too bright. I don't really want to run my ring light because it's killing my eyes. Golly, that's bright. But if you can, I don't know if you can, I don't know if you can tell it it looks about the same width now. It was all puffy before. After it happened, you can see how the knuckles. You can see the ridges in the knuckles. It got so swollen before. It was just a smooth curve. You couldn't see the knuckles or anything. But it's much better now. But right here, I think this puncture here injured one of the tendons a little bit because it hurts when I do this, when I move my hand a little bit. But it is what it is. I have Neosporin and stuff. Oh, this is much better looking. That's much less red compared to, well, see, that's this whole area all the way up my fingers and stuff turned red and stuff initially on first couple of days, but that's all cleared up. My ring finger now, the swelling has gone down in it, so I can wear my ring again. So it's getting better, and it's scabbed over now. So at first, when I take a bath, I had to be careful about it. I didn't want to get it too wet, you know. But now it's better. At any rate, it is what it is. Let's get back to the game. Hey, Dynamite 10, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Oh, never mind. You're a bot. Oh well. Like I've said before, if somebody comes in your chat and immediately says, hey, you're great, add me to your Discord, you're not great, and I've got an invite link already for my Discord. So
Body 6.
cheap
Landable
bacteria.
with atmosphere.
I was
Neon
excited there. I thought I had a new
atmospheric landable with
follower.
Body 7. Landable with atmosphere. Neon atmospheric landable. Body 5.
I'm trying to make
Landable with atmosphere.
not a highlight reel,
Neon
but
atmospheric
a
landable.
short video about that blue CO2 world, taking clips, you know, little small sections of my other stream. Don't ask me why. I just want to get more video content out there that people might watch it, you know, other than long form. I want a short form content, you know. However, those live streams, if they last 2 or 3 hours on YouTube. The other day on YouTube, when I ended my YouTube stream, I had 30 viewers. I don't know how many of them are bots or whatever, but that was very surprising. I looked over at the concurrent viewers. I was like, whoa. But they had to be bots or something, because no one was saying anything in chat. I don't know how that works. I don't mind people lurking, but I really would enjoy it if they would at least say, hey, I'm going to lurk here for a while or something, so I know they're real. I think tomorrow night's supposed to be super
Body
cold.
2.
Oh, and
Landable
forming
with
bacteria.
atmosphere.
We'll go get that.
Nitrogen atmospheric landable with life.
Nothing.
Body 4.
Cheap
Landable
bacteria.
with atmosphere. Neon atmospheric landable with life.
I may not even get to informing. I don't know. I'm not really worried about money. I want to find something. So I'll just leave the informant for somebody else.
Scanning through the black.
I'm thinking when I said I'm going to go grocery shopping, usually I just go to this little corner Dollar General Market. But I'm thinking I might actually go into town to the real grocery store, and that means I can get fish. I haven't had fish in a while.
Something calls
I need to price the cat food. I know some of the cat foods and stuff at that particular store are really expensive compared to the dollar store. Maybe I should think about going to Walmart.
deep inside.
I haven't gone to Walmart in a long time. Well, last time I went to Walmart was to get thermal paste.
Let it shine, let it shine. Stars keep
Excuse me. Messing with that motherboard, I had to take the CPU off and stuff, and
breaking virgin
I didn't have any thermal paste to put it back on, so I
has led.
was thinking I was going to get on Amazon and just, order a small tube of thermal paste, but then Walmart popped up, and I said, Walmart carries thermal paste? And I looked, and sure enough, they had one in the store. So I went there and got it. Had it that day. But I'm thinking that if I go to Walmart, I can buy a larger quantity of cat food cheaper. Basically buy the whole month's worth at one time, as opposed to going to the Dollar General store every couple of weeks. I mean, it's not outrageously priced at the dollar store, but I don't know. I would like to go ahead and get all that taken care of at one time, but I don't know. I'll probably just end up going to the local store and say, I can always go to Walmart tomorrow or the next day.
Boundaries fall.
Didn't even see the count. 9 bodies here.
Stretching
No notable stellars, no Earth likes, nothing really weird at all here.
horizon burns deep inside.
Body 2. Landable with atmosphere.
Now, I was talking about it a while
Argon
ago.
atmospheric landable with
Did I
life.
actually replot a route with just with just certain stars? Because I've lost all my brown dwarfs and things. Well, that's what I'll do. I think I'll replot it, but with economy mode now to get more systems. What are you hiding at? There you are. I actually miss my carrier. Now, the Distant Worlds carrier does everything mine does, but I've got so many more other ships and things and modules and stuff. My Panther Clipper has arrived here, but, what am I doing? Oh, the Panther Clipper doesn't have, Olympic controllers or a refinery. Come on.
Just another day out.
Really? Really?
Stars keep moving past my door. Bass, can you still hear the rain?
At any rate, so I turned around and shipped some more Olympic controllers and a refinery from the bubble. So that's going to take another couple of days. But I can take the current refinery and Olympic controller off of my Type 8 and put on the Panther Clipper. So do some mining with somebody else. Somebody needs to bring their Type 11 or Type 11, yeah, Type 11 out. And did I say Type 8? Type 8's a transporter. Type 11, I mean, but I need to team up with somebody else to do some mining out here.
Found a new star yesterday. Mapped the coordinates clean. But these walls feel closer now than they've ever been.
I almost decided to get in my Sidewinder, the lone Sidewinder, and go off in suicide and take the express route back to the bubble and get my carrier and travel out here. Then I definitely have to be doing some tritium mining. But mining for the squadron carrier, mining for Distant Worlds 3 stuff needs, and mining for my carrier might be not leave me much time to do anything. 19 bodies here, 2 stars.
Falling free. Log amendment. Sometimes I forget the sound of rain, the weight of gravity. The touch.
I'm thinking Friday morning is not a good time to stream. Or, yeah, not a good time to stream. I don't. Let's see what's here. Oh, we got a little variety this time, but no Earth likes. Ammonia World, though.
Mission status.
And a gas giant. Is it green?
Changed to me. All this space between the
No.
stars shows what I can't see. Recording thoughts at light speed through the vast eternities. Missing what I left behind.
So,
Body AB1A. Close orbit. Parent has high angular diameter from body.
Commander.
it should be interesting. I'm hoping I would say hoping to make friends, but to meet some people out here that's in the group and maybe work together doing some things. I don't know. I'm just not a social person. I think most explorers probably aren't real social. They might be, well, not as bad as me, but I don't have the need to team up and do things. I don't really have a need. I just want to do something different. It might be fun. You should come out here, Options. You can make it. It'd take you a while, but you can get here. Well, it'd be worth it if you,
Body
there's that
AB3.
ammonia world. It'd be
High
worth it
value
if you made it all the way out here
Needs mapping
before you left
criteria.
for your sisters, and you could just park on the carrier, and there's no you'd have no idea where you would end up being when you finally get back
System
from your
discovery
sisters.
Complete. First body to map is
There
a
is no
3.
life here. Of course, you'd be stuck out here unless you take, you fly back. It's not a big deal. Got a jump range. This takes time. Count for All Seasons is going to be bringing his Caspian from the bubble back out here. He went all the way back to the bubble. He did the Sidewinder suicide thing to get back to the bubble. And, participate in the Wednesday rock fights and stuff. Now he's bringing his Caspian back out, and I guess he's going to do it again next week or something. I don't know how he's going to handle that, though, if his Caspian's already out here, unless he goes back by Caspian. Nothing here but a star. Next. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I think, let me see how far I am now from where I came from. I may just plot a route back, but in economy mode. If it's less than 1,000, I can do that.
Beside me, where you used to curl and sleep, while the galaxies turn slowly, and the
Okay, that'll work. That's close enough. Let me get the economy mode.
fly these routes
Let me make sure that's actually the right direction.
between the sun.
Yeah, okay.
But I swear I hear you.
I don't even know who that is, whose carrier that is, or why that's bookmarked.
You're chasing stars now, smoky, running free across
Okay, now we'll have a few stars.
your shadow.
And I'll end up closer to the carrier instead of when I decide to end the stream. I'll be near the carrier.
You're chasing stars now, smoky, and I'm right here, still in flight.
Oh my goodness! Oh, thank God I wasn't on full screen. I mean, on the face cam all that time with that scene. Why is it? Why is that not working?
I remember how you'd watch me. Plot the jumps from world.
I looked over there after I changed the scene. I was like, and it had the lead observatory core thing up there. I was like, has that been up the whole time? But I'm sure you would have told me that.
Every station, every waypoint carries traces of your grace
Nothing here.
through the cosmos, and I see you every place. You're chasing stars.
It was in the loo. Okay. Too much info there. Thanks for sharing.
Passing by, the cockpit feels too quiet, but I keep busters by.
My coffee is at the point where it's I like coffee. I like hot coffee and I like cold coffee, but I don't like, well, I don't dislike it, but I don't prefer it being
I can feel a phantom purr,
mildly warm. I don't know.
like you never really were. Gone just the way
But it's still coffee. Powered by caffeine.
it's unknown
Tepid? Yeah, I know those words. I just
till I finally find you home. You're chasing stars
17 bodies. All right, let's go. Oh, we have lines. Why we got lines? Why are you trying to scoop when you're already scooped? Inquiring minds want to know, Commander. I don't think this is fully mapped here, but let's see.
so am I.
No, those are all auto-scanned, okay. Even though somebody's been here. Not fully mapped, so let's see what we got.
But you're everywhere I go.
Got excited for a moment. It's not an Earthlight, though. Is it green? Is it a green gas giant? Yes, 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 yes. Come on, come on. Be green, be green. Definitely not green. Okay. Nothing. More nothing. Hey, lots of nothing. Yep. Pretty much nothing. I need that one.
Further each day, I can't explain why I can't stay. The stars keep pulling me in, like they know something I don't know.
Still nothing.
What secrets do you
Hey,
believe you're
we're good at finding nothing.
wise beyond?
That's great, considered I have nobody as a sponsor.
Secrets do you hold that make my
Nobody finding nothing. Hey, perfect. Match made in heaven.
Ads starting in 1 minute.
Of course they are.
Body A1. High value body. Meets mapping criteria. System discovery complete. First body to map is A1.
See, Twitch has finally said my stream stability is excellent. It was saying unstable for a while. Don't know why. So I lowered my bit rate a little bit. Even though it was set at 6 kilobits, but I... When I stream to YouTube and Kick, I do 8 kilobits. So I can go higher if I wanted to. 7 bodies, fingers crossed. Let's get some distance though between the star first. Okay, well, there goes that. It's always nothing until it's something.
Come find what waits today. Every scan brings another surprise. New world spinning before my eyes. Maybe that's why I roam, making the unknown feel like home. The stars keep whispering now, like old friends I've come to know. What secrets
Mostly with emphasis on nothing that time. Class K, C mass, so maybe there'll be some bodies there.
out in the black where the stars
9 buddies, nothing on radar except the star.
commander and his
There's
feet
probably no gas giants then.
through nebulae that no one's ever named. A ship, a soul, and they're never alone.
Body 8. Landable with atmosphere.
At his side through
Neon-rich
every
atmospheric
jump,
landable.
through every world that calls them home. We fly beyond the horizon, where the universe unfolds. Scanning distant fires, burning stories that
I think maybe next month I'll do some mining.
to venture through the endless cosmic night,
Some tritium.
chasing infinity.
I sure wish you could put that Mark II volley gun on your Panther Clipper. Wouldn't that be nice?
Forgotten worlds.
Have that, several limpet controllers, shoot rocks and throw out a ton of limpets, and plenty of storage. That would be nice.
No fear can keep this one.
I wish the Type 11 had a couple more 100 tons of storage too.
It's unknown.
My nose itches.
Reason not to turn back home.
My nose itch.
Beyond the horizon, where the universe unfolds. Scanning distant fires, burning stories that no
Oh my god. I yawn now, my eyes are gonna water.
through the endless cosmic night.
You think? I don't know anything about that stuff really. 2 stars here, nothing else.
Out here in the silence,
Oh,
if I put you
you know, I was thinking I could take the limpet controller off my Type 11. I may not be able to. I think it's got the
we fly
special limpet controller. I got some more coming, so. Oh.
mapping distant fires, burning stories waiting to be told. We are the ones who ventured through the endless cosmic night.
Is the limpet controller, or can you get a special only for the Type 11 Olympic controller? Yeah, maybe that's okay, because it seems like it had like a something multi-controller thing or something, and I was thinking, oh, I can use that. I can just store that and put it on the Panther Clipper if I want to do that while I'm waiting for the other stuff to get here. But I may not be able to do that. So I may not be able to use my Panther Clipper until my other modules get here, and that's okay. I can't go mining without the prospector. Well, I could mine. Going back to mining with just regular lasers is boring. That volley gun is fun to do. Makes it more fun. I mean,
Through asteroid fields where silence screams, your ship cuts through.
and mining seems much faster now than it used to.
Will you rise when the stars are burning cold?
Type 11 is so much faster, but a lot more backwards and forwards. Okay. Nothing here.
Beyond the field, will you rise when death draws near?
For mining Trit, yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I mine. Though there is a little tiny platinum hotspot. I might hit that up just. Ocker 7 and I went mining one time. We went to a platinum hotspot, but I really didn't know what I was doing. But we didn't find any platinum. I found gold, but I didn't find any platinum. And I don't really care about finding platinum. I just want to do it just to do it.
Gathering information. Cartography updated.
Probably end up either storing it on the carrier or just abandoning it. Well, because I don't have anywhere to sell it or anything or trade it, you know. Out here, I just was thinking of doing it for the heck of it. 8 bodies, nothing on radar. Just as an exercise, something to do. Maybe my YouTube will be on Tritium. I don't know. I mean, not Tritium, but on mining. I don't know what I'm going to do today. I know I have to stream today, though. It's coming up on the end of the month, so. I want to be sure I meet all the criteria for number of streams and number of hours and things. I already busted. I think I've already met easily the Twitch things and stuff. And well, once you make affiliate, you don't have to worry about that. But on Kick now to make essentially an affiliate, there's certain minimum requirements.
Body 6. Landable with atmosphere.
I don't know how much I'm going to effort kick, but I think I will effort kick enough to see if I can make the minimum thing to make affiliate type status there. But I don't know if they call it affiliate or partner. I know one of them there's not a chance in hell of me making. You know, it's kind of like making Twitch partner. Not a chance in hell I'll ever make that. Or I'm not sure I want to. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But there's no way I'm going to get consistently 75 people watching my stream, you know, the average number of viewers and things like that high. I don't have enough jello and pretty enough feet to do that.
Leaving system.
Will you rise?
Well, it's true.
Will you rise?
It's true. I saw, you know what, gelatin? Jello? Gelatin? I don't know what you call it in England. Oh my god, for pictures of your feet in jello. To raise money, you know, kinky stuff. Oh.
The curious cat, my faithful friend. The curious cat through endless black.
I didn't even see the honk, damn it. Got 2 bodies at least here, 2 stars. Oh, we got 1 planet hanging out here somewhere.
Body B1. Landable with atmosphere. Neon-rich atmosphere.
I was making
landable.
a joke. I watched, you know, there's a guy on YouTube that does finances. You know, he interviews people and tells them, he discusses how much they make and budgets and things. I saw a YouTube short them talking to Amaranth. Do you know who Amaranth is? She's one of the. She was a Twitch streamer. I don't know where she streams now or what. The hot tubs and all those other things.
Photography.
She's a very attractive person. But he was interviewing her, and she was telling him about the number of gas stations that she bought for like $3 million and stuff as a tax write-off, or for tax purposes. You know, as a business investment and stuff. And I'm like, wow. Just wow. Team bodies. Just, I guess it's amazing how much money you can make as a streamer if you have the right skill set and business wherewithal.
Body A7. Landable with atmosphere. Helium atmospheric landable.
I'm happy to find out that I fit with the far majority of most streamers. That number of viewers and things like that. I'm at the low end of the totem pole. And that's okay. You know, actually as a money source or financial source, streaming and stuff, that would be horrible for someone like me, because there's a threshold.
The next system.
You know, if I make a certain amount of money, it interferes with my Social Security and things like that, and then there's tax issues, and there's an intermediate gray area that would just be horrible. And you'd have to punch through that area, you know, on your way up
Of course.
before it would become an acceptable, you know, thing, you know. As an example, in that case, you know, the average person, you know, stay-at-home mom or person gamer or whatever, it's not a business, you know, it gets, kind of like me, it gets the occasional gift subs and things like that. Those are nice and stuff, but, you know, if they suddenly started making real money at it, you know, then you got to look at taxes and all kinds of things. And that doesn't bother a person, most people, you know. But when it starts interfering with your benefits and things like that, you know, like you start making more money on the side, and they, you know, take away your other benefits or something, you know, that would be irritant. I don't understand everything, but I just know that I don't want to make a lot of money, you know, from streaming, unless it's a lot of money. I just want to meet people, mostly. Man, nothing here. Okay, it's 6 a.m. my time. I have to check the Postal Service site just to see if it should be reached the local community by now. No, it's not updated yet. Last update was at 4:16 a.m. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes though it will be later in the day. Whoops, they'll decide it's out for delivery. It says it'll be here by 9 p.m. If a male person shows up at 9 p.m., I'll be very upset. Okay, there's just one single planet. Oh, no, it's a star somewhere. Okay. What is... Did I not... Did I... When I plotted that... Am I in realistic mode? I'm not in realistic mode. I must use this... I must use the filter then, because... Let's go to realistic mode and replot that, because... I'm disappointed. I want more. I want different types of stars. I'll even take the crappy stars. So. Because all I'm getting is crap. I must mix it up a little bit. I'm getting Class M. I usually don't have Class M on my list because Class M usually... I like K, G, and F, and sometimes A's when I'm looking for biology. I mean, Class M's have some, but there's a lot of crap with Class M's too. But again, I'm not really just looking for life here. I'm trying to hopefully stumble across something like a notable stellar or something, you know. And I wish there was a Waffle House in my town. I haven't been to Waffle House in a long, long time.
Jumping to next system.
I had to think for a moment. It was a while back. Oh, that's right. When I went to McDonald's. Yeah, geez. I went to Walmart. I also went to McDonald's because there's one in this parking lot, and I hadn't been to McDonald's in years. Maybe I need to go to Waffle House because there's... Oh, no. Jeez. It's on my mind. Maybe I need to go to Walmart because there's a Sonic right there. I don't know if you... Sonic is another fast food drive hamburger place, you know. DeWitt? Is that a name of a takeout place or takeaway place? Oh, do it. Oh. Well, then again, if I go to Walmart, though, then I have to go shopping. I don't know. Maybe I'll save that for another day. I said that. Just get what I need. I said I'd do that. Oh, icy bodies. More icy bodies. Nice. 11 icy bodies. No, 10 icy bodies. Don't you have a life options? I mean, you don't have to like lurk in my chat just to keep me entertained all the time. I don't feel obligated to stick around. I mean that in a nice way. I appreciate you coming in and stuff and chatting with me. You don't have to. You got something else you'd rather be doing. I am personable. I border on funny sometimes, but or silly or just stupid or incompetent. But you know, I try to interact with people in chat, though. I really do make a big effort at it. 'Cause I know that even with small streamers, with 1 or 2 viewers, you go in their chat and you say hi and stuff, and they might go hi back or acknowledge your existence, and that's it, you know. But you know, I like to interact with people and see how they're doing and what are they doing in the game, and maybe they're doing something we can do together, you know. Then again, that has a downside of I end up with friends in game that I have no clue who they are. You know, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just, you know, I've got so many friends in game now that I have no idea who they are. I literally don't. 17 bodies.
that you find leaves a beacon for the dreamers who will follow close behind. So chart the void, my fearless friend.
Body A1.
Stratum
Landable with
Tectonica.
atmosphere. Oxygen atmospheric landable with life.
Wow.
Has high biological value.
Wow. This is a first for me. I love firsts. You know why it's a first for me? I'm not going to tell you yet. I will ask you. Do you know why this is a first for me?
I want you
Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
the dust kicks
TK Terrible. Titan Drive components. You still haven't gotten those? Yes, options exactly. Exactly. I have never found Stratum Tectonica before on an oxygen atmosphere. You still haven't found those Titan Drive components yet? You didn't go to the debris field? Or are you still trying to get the other materials? Wow. Oh, I'm not done scanning. I'm in awe because I've never found that before. We'll be going there, of course, but to get the stratum and the Volu, but wow. I love this. I love finding new things for me, new to me at least. First, I find a blue carbon dioxide. I find that.
Body B1. Landable with atmosphere.
But I definitely
Neon-rich
associate
atmospheric
Stratum
landable.
Tectonica with sulfur
Body
dioxide.
B4.
And it's such a
Landable
small
with atmosphere.
percentage, though, of sulfur
Neon
dioxide.
atmospheric
I'm
landable with
surprised.
life. Body B3. Landable with
I
atmosphere.
wonder how plentiful it's going
Neon
to be. I wonder if it's
atmospheric
going to be really
landable
hard
with
to
life.
find. You have new ships to outfit. All right. Well, that's always a plus then. Go for it. You get a Caspian? I need a
Body
Caspian.
B7. Landable
But
with
I have to
atmosphere.
wait, though, for them. Well,
Neon atmospheric landable with life.
oh no.
I hear a sound from far away.
Okay,
Something pulls me
we
day
are
by
going to go
day.
to planet A1. I'm wondering, though, how rare, if it's going to be rare, hard to find. It's going to be interesting. We'll find it, nevertheless. If it's there, it's a moral imperative to find this.
Is there something calling me? Something that I cannot see? Can you hear the stars calling?
My throttle's at 0, and there we go. So I'm just coasting. Thought for a minute I was going to get caught in gravity. Well, I'm all excited there, TK Terrible, because I've never found a Stratum Tectonica before on a oxygen atmosphere world, and evidently I'm going to find it here. Not only that, I'm going to take a picture if I find it, and I'm going to post it on X, because to me it's just, I won't say it's unheard of by any means. I've just never found it before. Have you options? Have you ever found it on the Oxygen World before? I've actually only found Volu, bacteria, and I've seen Funticula fluctus, but I've never found Funticula fluctus. But I think that's the only two things I've seen on a Oxygen World. You're an asshole, man. Just take away the feeling instantly that okay, well. that this is some kind of nice achievement. That's like me going along and saying, I'm looking for green gas giants, and Orange Phoenix goes, yeah, I found one of those once. I'm like, whoa, jeez. But I did play with the, it's Arcanic or whatever. I was joking with him because he's looking for green gas giants, and I went in his chat and said, hey, guess what I found? But I said that over in the last stream, I think. Morale Buster, there you go. See, when I found it, I should have done this. Oh, I hate Twitch. God, it makes things so difficult. Just click the right button. I don't want to get started with this crap. How do you get rid of this? Oh my goodness. Just make the pop-up go away. Oh, Jesus Christ. What happened to the damn channel point redemption thing? It just keeps popping up the, maybe if I just click that button, okay. I should have done this, though.
What? What the fuck?
Another jump through hyperspace. The curious cat and me, scanning every system down for what I need to see. They say it's out here somewhere, one in 1,000 stars, but all I find is ice and stone, dead worlds and empty stars.
Body A1 has high biological value.
Well, it's not super abundant, but let's go find the stratum first. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it into that crater. I'll give it a try. The only reason I picked that crater is because also the bacteria is in the same spot, but this may not work out well. I may have to come back in orbit and come back down in a different spot. Hoping to find the bacteria and the stratum tectonic in the same area. It's not too bad a terrain, so let's see what we got.
The cat is getting restless now. I swear I hear her sigh. One more boring planet, and I might start to cry. Where's my green gas giant? Tell me why. Every skank
Ad starting in 1 minute.
Alright. Let's see what we got. What kind of stratum's this supposed to be anyway? Green. Okay. Well, if it works like normal stratum, it'll just materialize right in front of me. If it's going to be a pain, it won't.
Wait, what's that signal?
0.48G.
Could it be?
Okay, there's some right there.
Spectrum
Nice.
reading, green frequency.
The ground almost looks like grass. The green.
Gas giant. Finally I see. The curious cat was right to search across the galaxy.
See, now I'm not even going to take a picture of it to post on X. I'm just emotionally crushed. Thanks, options. Thanks.
Beautiful green gas
Stratum tectonicus confirmed present. Base value 19.01 million. Minimum sample distance 500 meters.
Oh, my
First
goodness.
partial sample collected.
What time is it where you're at? Noon or so? Don't you have a Tim Hortons or something to go to?
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
That sounds like a plan. I don't think it's gonna let me land here. That's okay. I'm not gonna sweat it because there's more right over there. Sausage. You know, that sounds good. Maybe I'll pick up a breakfast at the gas station. They make, there's a diner there. When I go to the store, they have sausage biscuits and breakfast plates and things.
Used to watch the stars from here. Wonder what was out there waiting.
This is a nice landscape, though, isn't it?
My feet were planted on the ground, but my heart was always
Second partial
racing.
sample collected.
They said the void would break me, that the darkness holds
Oh, my damn camera.
But I'm going beyond the charts tonight, beyond the charts where no one's been, past every warning sign and light.
This is a nice landscape, though.
The spaces between the known and true.
Huh.
Beyond the charts, I'll make it through.
Also, the atmosphere is not blue. Usually on an oxygen world, I don't. 0.09% atmosphere. Then you would think there'd be more color to the atmosphere. Then that's weird. Huh. Maybe it's just not dense enough to get that Raleigh effect or whatever it's called. The scattering.
Charts tonight, beyond the charts where no one's been, past every warning sign and light. On the charts I'll find what's in the spaces between the known and true. Beyond the charts.
All right, one more of these. I didn't see any. I didn't look yet. But I didn't see any bacteria here, but I'll have to look for it. Yeah, I lied. I think that's the bacteria
Minimum
right there. Is
distance
that what it
reached.
looks like?
You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
I'm pretty sure that's the bacteria. Yeah. Okay, well, it's here too, so. So let's see if we can find one of these right next to a bacteria or close to it. Well, I'll have to. What the hell, we'll just land and find it. Got nothing but time, right?
They think of walls and endings, but I see doors that no one's opened. I see the start of something, so I'm going beyond the charts tonight, beyond the charts where dreams begin, past every doubt and
It seems like this delay in disembarking is longer than it used to be.
between the known and true. Beyond
I know dropping out of Super Cruise at the DS at the DSS or DS Distant Worlds carrier takes forever. I don't know if it's because of all the commanders in the instance or what.
Sample collection complete.
I am in their private group with no telling how many active people right now. Alright. Let's see if we can find this bacteria. It's kind of difficult to see. There was a whole bunch of it at the pole. I should have went there. It had a completely different color.
Promise I will outlast. I'm not looking back at the stars behind. The dark is honest and I walk the line. You can't
Start over at the edge here and
you wouldn't know how it feels.
come around here on the flatlands and look.
Waiting worlds turning real. I've carved my name in the cold unknown.
Not really gonna spend too much time looking for it though.
I'm more than just a name. Brush dust from forgotten moons.
Looks like a bare patch in the dirt. Someone's yard.
It remakes me.
This actually does look like there's some kind of grass growing because of that green color.
But hearing nothing, I make roads my own. No one else at the helm. Standing steady in the search. 1,000 worlds overwhelmed.
New biological and geological codex entry. Bacterium balu, red. New codex entry. Bacterium balu, red. Bacterium balu confirmed present. Base value 7.77 million. Minimum sample distance 500 meters. First partial
Might be.
sample collected.
I'm gonna go 500 meters, so let's just go over this way.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Don't you feel that pull inside? My daring heart is out of view. Yet every leap I carry you. I've carved my name in the cold unknown. With every landing I've made my mark. This endless void is where I belong.
Maybe over there.
Ignite a spark. You don't always down my aim. But out beyond your reach, I'm more than just a name. So let the star lines fade behind. I am the trail, I am the star. Curious cat with a restless mind and a relentless heart.
Anytime now.
Second partial sample collected.
Chronicle cradles.
Okay, so there must. I saw a blue circle there. I said there must be some stratum behind it, on that hill. Okay.
While quiet cosmos call, pausing at the port.
One more to go.
Possibility. Smoky shifts, silent, but waits. pulses pound in patterns, past purples, past planets. Courage curls, caution crests, calm in the cabin. Who tries the unknown when the light runs low? Is it folly? Is it fortune?
Minimum distance reached.
Here we go.
You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Am I just chasing contentment through night? Who claims the cosmos on
What's wrong with this terrain? Is there some kind of pebble there that you are not liking?
choking with jump points?
Really?
Jittery joys just
Really? Mandalay, you gonna be like this?
I'm writing to you, stranger beside me, wind in my back, like the no breeze. No, what will we find?
Wrong button, Commander.
Bits away.
Oh, we actually have accrued some cash.
La da dee ba dee,
It's gonna be what, 26 million total for this planet. The loan by itself. That's 125 million.
past, I promise I'll listen. You trust the unknown when the light runs low. Is it folly? Is it fortune?
Sample collection complete.
Will a single spark split the silence in flight? Or am I just chasing contentment through night? Who claims the cosmos on dust-frosted dawns? Do we drift? Do we dare? Do we
Alright, let's get the right scanner.
steady as
Moving first, then get the right scanner, I guess.
we chase constellations, answering no one's call.
Trying to look at the ground.
Eyes wide in the glare. If I falter, will you follow me out there? Who tries the unknown when the light runs low? Is it folly? Is it fortune? On will I go? Will a single spark split the silence in flight? Or am I just chasing contentment through the night? Who claims the cosmos on dust-frosted dawns? Do we drift? Do we dare? Do we carry on? Carry on.
Ah, someday. Let's have fun. Press on. That gives us currently then 172 million. Nice.
Far from home, all alone. Just your voice on the comms, breaking through static storm. We watch you climb beyond the lines.
Okay.
Leaving system.
I'm happy. Not only did I find stratum tectonica, I found it on an oxygen atmosphere, which I'd never seen. Let's see what the next system gives me that I've never seen. Well, evidently nothing. How's that sandwich coming along? We need details. How good was it? What kind of bread? Use mayonnaise, mustard? What? Nothing?
Friendship now engaged.
What kind of sausage?
Strange new worlds underfoot.
Ooh, bacon and eggs sounds good. Cumberland. Why am I yawning? Mustard and tomato sauce. There you go. I actually, I made bread, well, biscuits last night. I had chicken and rice and black-eyed peas and cabbage. But I made kind of a bready biscuit. And I put peanut butter in it. And it was really good. Peanut butter and some brown sugar and stuff. It was really good. Still good. I still got half a loaf left. Peanut butter was an impulse. I've never put peanut butter in bread stuff before. I thought, I'm going to try that and see how it works. Instead of putting any type of vegetable oil in the biscuit stuff, I used that instead because it has oil in it and it worked out really well. Very tasty. Okay, where the hell are you hiding at? Jeez. Let's go. Give me some orbits. Some idea of what orbits you're going to be on. Okay, let's go further out. Mix this up. Make these a little more reasonable.
Stars become your guide through the spiral arms where legends come.
Nothing.
Alive. Distance means nothing.
Nothing again. More nothing. And yet
Body
nothing.
3. Landable with atmosphere. Water rich atmospheric landable.
Water rich. It should be nice to stumble across something amazing. FDev, you need to throw something, random amazing things in the game, you know, like a Guardian Sight or something, you know. Thargoids, like, why the hell are Thargoids way out here? You know, something. I mean, it's nice to find the occasional random non-human, you know, signal sensor fragment or something, but, you know, if you give us something better.
Amazing. That's quite something.
Commander of the endless night, your beacon burns so bright.
Scanning for information.
Every soul you've inspired reaches for that light.
9 bodies. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy.
Single strong, journey long. You belong among the stars.
La la la
Nothing yet.
I hear about this pilot flying far. Someone brave enough to chase a distant star. They say he goes where no one dares to go. Into the black where only courage shows. And I wonder what it
So I replotted this. All I've been consistently finding is class M stars. Okay,
Of course it doesn't.
not the best thing.
is your home. He's reaching for the stars, reaching for the stars, breaking every chain, going really far. Reaching for the stars, reaching for the stars, nothing gonna stop him. He's reaching for the stars. La la la, reaching for the stars. Commander Buckard doesn't flies alone through nebulae that no one's ever known. He scans the cosmos with his steady hand, mapping out the strange and foreign land.
Look at that. Maybe, I don't know. Close. Probably not, but it could be an Earthlight.
Push beyond what's
And it's not. Damn it.
reaching for the stars, reaching for the stars,
Let me try.
going really far. Reaching for the stars, reaching for the stars, nothing gonna
Body AB1.
reaching for
Landable with atmosphere. Neon-rich
No
atmospheric
Bob.
landable.
You're right. I want a Bob.
Body B6. Landable with atmosphere.
Keep bacteria.
Argon atmospheric landable with life.
When I see him soar through space, I feel something change in me. Maybe I could find my place in this vast infinity. Reaching for the stars,
Body A3.
reaching
Landable and terraformable. Landable with atmosphere.
And the last
High
minute,
value body.
we have to go check to see if that's
Carbon
stratum
dioxide
tectonic here or
atmospheric
not.
landable with life.
Only got one biosignal.
Meets mapping criteria. System discovery complete. First body to map is A3.
reaching for the stars. He's reaching for the stars.
We can just take a moment to see if it's got stratum tectonic or not. It's either bacteria or stratum. Carbon dioxide. So the odds a little better that it might be stratum, but we'll see. The heck was all that? Oh. You did not have to do that, Options. Thank you so much. Wow. What did you give? 10? Thank you so much. You did not have to do that. Oh, I'm not worried. I am not worried about my viewer count, man. But I appreciate it very much. Friday's not the best morning. Friday's not the best day to stream. Because there are other big time streamers streaming. That's why I like to stream on Mondays. Because a lot of the big time people, work on the weekends. It's their job streaming. And they take Monday off. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I did have the special turned on, though, I think. The promotional thing. So hopefully it didn't cost you as much. Thank you so much. I got a sugar daddy.
Touchdown on a rocky world. First steps in the purple dust. Something shifts inside my mind as readings fill my suit display.
You know, if I have 1 or 100 viewers, I'm just happy to have someone viewing.
No
you
more
know?
bodies to map.
No stratum here, guys. Oh well. Man, I'm almost flustered though. 10 guest subs. Jeez.
These words have opened up my core. Each world I find something in
Whee!
changes who I thought I'd be. Each world I find sets something free. Out here is where I learn to see.
Wow. So who all got gift subs? TK got one. Harry Poker, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Psycho Benjamin was in the other day. Kenshi Gaming, Gray Cat. I don't know. I think some of those people might have come in and just lurked or something, but or passed through. I don't know how that works. That's awesome.
Completing system scan. Stand by.
Not to map the galaxy, but to map the depths within. Each world I find
No wife found.
changes who I thought I'd be. Each world I find sets something free. Out here is where I learn to see.
I thought about putting a subscriber goal, but then it would make it look like I'm trying to get subscribers. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want subscribers, but I don't push for that. But I do it. I do appreciate it, though. That's very kind of you.
Scanning now.
Another jump into the black. Another jump into the black. Fuel gauge running low.
10 bodies. Anybody feel lucky?
Asteroid field on the scanner.
I need the Bob song to play while I'm finding an Earth-like.
The black. Another jump into the black. They said I'd never make it home. They said the void would take me. But here I am, still flying.
For a moment, I thought I saw something at the bottom of the spectrum there. I was momentarily concerned, but it was just stuff showing through the bar.
Burns across my home. Pirates on my tail again. Hawk the target, fire the gun.
Body 4A. Landable with atmosphere. Methane atmospheric landable
Cheap
with life.
bacteria and or fonticula. Okay. I don't have high hopes. These are all rocky ice bodies, so. Choo choo.
Ads starting in 1 minute.
Huh. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that probably triggered a hype train. Huh.
Adjusting interface travel mode engaged.
Used to think the stars were far. Now they're just another stop. Every system that I chart makes me who I am.
Or 9 more bodies.
Another jump into the black.
What we have.
Body 1. Landable and terraformable. Landable with atmosphere. High value body. Sulfur dioxide
Forming
atmospheric landable.
bacteria. And
Means
it's
mapping
behind the
criteria.
star. Arg,
Body
arg.
4. Landable with atmosphere.
Might go get that in forming.
Nitrogen
Let's see what else
atmospheric
is
landable
here.
with life.
Another jump
Nothing.
System discovery complete.
All
First
right.
body to map is
Let's
1.
go get that Informan. Planet 4.
Another system on my display. Numbers and charts,
PK, are you if you're still there? Do you use something like Lead Observatory Core or SRV Survey or some third-party tool when you do an exobiology? The reason I know is informant there, other than it's nitrogen atmosphere with one bio. It's always informant. But I use SRV Survey. I use Elite Observatory Core Bio Insights plugin. So that's how it's telling me what's there. I'm not all knowledgeable, so, but it apparently is. Yes, I don't think I've ever even seen an SRV Survey. And I know I've never installed it. I probably should look at it. But I really do like Elite Observatory Core. And let's just do this loop here. I think that's going to be... Well, we might pull it out. We might be able to pull it out. Come on. Oh, we got it. We saved it. No loop of shame for you. I might install it or at least look at it to see what else it might offer. It's different. I'm pretty happy with the Bio Insights plugin. I mean, it does exactly what I want it to do. The SRB survey though that lets you put a bookmark of things, locations and stuff on a planetary surface. So you can go back and find, if you're in the middle of sampling something, you stumble across something else, you can bookmark it and then come back to it. And that could be kind of helpful. .01 atmospheres. So nerf that. It'll work.
Mapping complete. Next body to map is 1.
Yeah, let's pick a spot. Let's see. What's the terrain gonna look like?
I strap into this cockpit, steal and fire my home. Through asteroid field spinning, I make this journey alone. You wonder if I'm crazy, pushing through the dark. But something calls me forward, ignites this burning spark. The void is cold and endless, but I won't turn around. When laser fire surrounds me, I stand my ground. I'm dancing with the
That wasn't what I wanted. Oh well.
between the stars, trading shots with pirates while I'm dodging metal shards. You think I'm just a pilot, but I'm something so
Another 0.4 something 49G.
you've never heard before. Never heard before. seen the rings of Saturn tear apart a dozen ships, while cannons roar like thunder, and my targeting system.
Oh joy. Those are rocks, right?
Why I risk it all each day? 'Cause someone has to venture where the others turn away. The void is cold and endless, but I won't turn
I think we're in for a fun time. Let's see.
I stand my ground. I'm dancing with the danger in the space between the stars, trading shots with pirates while I'm
Good. Easily visible. That's a good thing.
but I'm something so much more. On the road through legends that you've never heard before.
Works better with landing gear. Yeah, okay.
How I flew through hell and came back home. How I carved my name in starlight iron soul.
A lot easier to land with landing gear.
Every close call
Landing
makes
gear
me
down, at
strong.
least.
This is where I belong.
Let me check something. Well, I'll check it after I scan this. I think you did a good thing there, options. I mean, you did with the gift subs, but I think that pushed me over.
Bacterium
That should
Informem
push me over the
confirmed present.
threshold.
Base value 8.42
Meaning I'll get a payment
million.
next month.
Minimum sample distance 500 meters. First partial sample collected.
Usually it takes 2 or 3 months for me to accrue enough income for I hate to sound like money grubbing on me, but I'm like, let me see real quick. Yeah. Push me over the $50 threshold. You have to get $50 before they'll pay you anything. You can actually go months, and I have gone months with having a balance of like $20, $30, $40 or something, which is fine. I mean, but I'm like, oh, I'll get a payment this month.
Every signal, every distant flare. The map keeps changing, but
Let's
I'm always there.
thank you again. I hate to make it sound like, well, I don't know how to deal with people gifting these things like that, other than to say thank you. I don't know.
This is how legacies begin.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters
Let's be
from
smart,
previous
man. You know
sample.
better than that. Go over here and get some find some flat land. This isn't going to be on anything like this. And it's already been back there, so we need. Let's go find a flat area. Over there. Bacteria is only going to be on the flat area, so.
Tracks in red dust, no need for fame. Signals crackle, echoes of past. Each new horizon, hope
It should
builds to
stand out
last.
if it's here, so if it renders.
Gravitate forward, I don't have a plan. Eyes on
It's gonna be a pain. I knew it was gonna be fun. It's maybe one of those cases where you won't find a second one. And you have to go up to orbit and come back down. There it is. And you come back down and be right there, but that's not the case. So I like the way it just rendered though at the last minute again.
the vast starlit crown. It isn't for glory, it isn't for gold. I move through the silence, unbroken, bold.
Where am I going? There it is. I think I'm going to do pretty
Second
close to
partial
300
sample
million in
selected.
this 3-hour period. Depending what else I find. Not complaining. This would be 40 more millions. Tell you, finding informant is almost a staple income. That's gonna be too close. Go over there.
Minimum distance reached. You've
there's
traveled
one
over
right there.
500
All
meters
right.
from previous sample.
Sometimes about all I will go down, I'll stumble across a bunch of really cheap stuff, but I'll just consistently find Informan. Informan's over 8 million, almost 8.5 million credits base value, so it's worth going and getting.
Just another day alone at the helm again. Each coordinate applied
Okay.
adds another dot to the endless map I draw. Past the
I
final
don't know why it takes so long. Is it just my system that's that slow? I mean, it does seem slower though since I switched video cards, so I don't know.
beyond the farthest shore.
Sample collection complete.
My feet, colors never named. Ancient mysteries complete, knowledge finally gained. In my ship, I press.
I honestly can't tell what that emote is.
Every reading that I take, every course
Oh, that's a serve. Okay.
fills the gaps in empty space, leaves a lasting trace. The trails I leave behind will guide 1,000 more through paths I help define beyond the farthest.
Good much there, Mandalay.
You who follow after me, take these maps I may, find the wonders I set free, let your fears all fade. For the path ahead is clear, though the road is long, every star will bring you near where you belong. The trails I leave behind will guide 1,000
Sometimes I just like flying.
through paths I help define beyond the farthest shore. Commander Ricard signs off one last report. The shots are yours to carry on.
That'd be interesting.
Adjusting for jump.
See him out there. Past the light.
Engage. Yeah.
Ship cuts through space. The maps don't go. It's gone too far.
Scan start. Stand by.
15 bodies.
Beyond the edge.
No, no Earth like.
Skinner finds words, blue and green, places we could call home if we dare to dream. Ask what we see.
Body B3. Landable with atmosphere. Neon atmospheric landable with light.
Ooh, a cow for all seasons has logged on, beginning his Caspian trip back out here. He's in for a long day. Maybe not hour-wise, maybe that too, but tedious day, lots of jumps. Don't envy him. I was looking at doing some neutron jumps, taking the neutron highway. The number of jumps it was going to take, and length of time span estimated trip would take, compared to my normal jumps and stuff. And it did have less jumps and stuff, less time, but not that much different. I mean, it was different, but now the Caspian, of course, is a completely different case because it has really exceptional neutron jump range. But I'm not sure the neutron highway would be be worth it to try to like go back to the bubble taking the neutron highway. But then again, I've never used the neutron highway. I have no experience at that at all. So I might do that though. I might take a trip sometime doing that just to do it, you know. I might plot a route to go somewhere just to do it, you know. And go, okay, it's worth it, it's not worth it, you know. I mean, people do it, so it must be worth it, but on Spanch, it did not take into account things like refueling stars and stuff, so I've never used the neutron highway route plotter. I mean, you do still burn fuel and stuff, right? I guess, you know, and if you're doing neutron, especially if you have a whole, and it had, the route I had plotted was quite long, but it had a whole long series of just neutron to neutron stars that it jumped to. So where do you refuel at? You know, if you follow that, you have to like stop your travels to go find a scoopable star or something, and you know, resume it, jump back to the neutron star to jump again. I don't know. Yeah, you have to jump off route for it. You know, that makes sense, but it would be kind of nice if it would take that into account a little bit, and if it was smart enough to be able to do that. I don't know if it's even possible to say, okay, you need to stop and get fuel here, and you can get fuel over there. Or even, jump between neutron stars to scoop, take a break from neutron jumping and have a series of, regular jumps in between neutron stars, refuel, and then press on, but I don't know. Class G star.
Screens lit up in front of me. Another system no one's seen. Just dots and lines until I scan. Making maps as best I can. All alone out in the black. Too far now to turn back. But somewhere past the stars I see there's someone reaching back to me. 1,000
Body 1.
years out,
Parent has high angular diameter from body.
every signal
16 bodies. 1 star.
we're all connected by the stars we chose to know.
Let's see what's here.
Found a world of purple skies, left my footprints first to rise, over mountains through the clouds. No one here to speak out loud, but every scan and every sight gets sent back through the night. And though the distance tries to win, I feel the message coming in. 1,000 light years out, but I'm never alone. Every signal sent becomes a path back home. When space gets quiet, that's when I know we're all connected by the
Bright light,
stars
bright
we
light.
chose to know.
Not green. Sadness.
They said the void would break me down, that I would lose my way. But every world I've come to find
Geologics.
leads others here to stay. The map we draw together now goes farther
Nothing.
than we dreamed.
Brown dwarf star.
Each message sends
No scooping this star, Commander. Don't even try it.
1,000 light years out, but I'm never alone. Every signal sent becomes a path back home. When space gets quiet, that's when I know we're all connected by the stars we chose to know. By the stars we chose to know.
Wow. Okay. 24 bodies. Lots of stars, perhaps, or those auto scan planets.
Out here in the silence, charting every star. The curious cat keeps flying, not sure.
There's the stars. Okay.
1,000 worlds behind me, ice and stone and dust.
The deep is still here and awaits your arrival, Commander. Welcome in, Cal. I was talking about you a while ago. I saw you come online. Ready for your Caspian travel?
A color no one's seen, but something deep inside me believes in that green. Past another ice world, another barren sphere, I whisper to the darkness, are you near? I'm reaching for the wonder
Yeah.
that
Moag says fleet carrier, folks.
flying through forever.
I was just having a discussion with Options None there that I've never done the Neutron Highway stuff, and I wanted to do that, and wondering about where do you refuel at, because the Spanish route plotter doesn't take your fuel
Body C3.
really into
Landable with
consideration, it
atmosphere.
looks.
Argon
And I
atmospheric
came to the
landable with
conclusion,
life.
and Options said that you just basically have to get off route and go find a scoopable place or someplace to get
Body
fuel.
C1. Landable with
There's
atmosphere.
Informant again.
Nitrogen atmospheric landable with life.
So I've decided I am going to do a Neutron Highway thing sometime just to learn, you know, just do it just to learn about it. Alright, there's Informant and Lapidia, Lapida or whatever, Fonticula there. So let's go to C1 and see it.
I'm reaching for the wonder
C1.
found, flying through forever.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Well, in the Caspian, it certainly is. I plotted a route on the Neutron Highway, and then I plotted it without the Neutron Highway just to see the number of jumps and length of time it was saying it would be in my Mandalay. And while the Neutron was somewhat faster, I'm not sure it was that much faster. But I guess it may vary depending on where you're actually going and stuff. But I mean, I'll try it and see. Try it. I've never done it, so that's why I'm just said someday I'm going to say I'm going to take a ride on the Neutron Highway just to see how to use the plotter and, you know, what idiosyncrasies may be involved in actually using it. Yeah.
I chart the void
I thought when it was doing that stuff, I thought it ate fuel.
and distant strands smoke keep purring by my
Ads starting in 1 minute.
I could be wrong, John.
We're crossing every great divide. The stars are calling out our names. We're burning bright, we're chasing flames. No turning back, we're flying free. The galaxy's our destiny. We're riding through the endless night. Commander and companion side by side.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Wow. So you're saying you only had to get off 2 or 3 times off the highway to refuel? Is that what you're telling me?
Beyond the horizon we will fly, forever reaching for the sky. I scan the systems, mark the way.
Looks like the star is over here, so let's come around. There was some maybe light.
We're explorers, wanderers, through dangers that would break the rest. We navigate.
Thought I'd do this, and then next stream later today, I'll probably do some tritium mining. I don't know. I did discover though that my plan. I'm waiting for more Olympic controller modules and refinery to come from the bubble for my Panther Clipper. But my intention to take the Olympic controller from my Type 11 and refinery probably won't work, since that's a specialized Olympic controller just for the Type 11, so probably can't do that. So I'll just be stuck with the Type 11, which I'd rather use. If I'm by myself mining, I'd rather use the Type 11. But if I'm working with somebody, then somebody needs to be in. Someone needs to have a Type 11, and someone needs to have a Panther Clipper with limpets.
Commander and companion side by side, discovering what's yet unseen. The bravest archer's boy has ever seen.
I nerfed that shot, so
Nothing can stop
get
us
it
here.
to
Beyond the horizon we will fly, forever reaching for the sky. Beyond the horizon.
yeah, I knew I'd speed that shot up. I don't really care about the fonticula per se, but it looks like it's everywhere, the bacteria, so we'll go target the fonticula spot, and hopefully the bacteria will be there too.
My ship cuts through the dust and stone,
This is the bacteria for its highest priority, but hey.
but I keep pushing on alone. Each asteroid could be my last. The void is cold and
I have no idea why I'm yawning so much since I just woke up 3.5 hours ago.
this life I chose for living. Here I am, past the edge of what I know.
You want to answer that, Cal? I don't know what a Bucky Bell is. A Bucky Ball races I know what are, but a Bucky Bell I don't know either. But I just, assumed it was Bucky Ball and a typo. But and that has nothing to do with refueling and stuff. But well, I may have. I don't know anything about Bucky Ball. I think my idea, my concept of Bucky Ball stuff is driving through canyons, but Buckyball may involve going from planet to planet to do things too. So as opposed to dangerous pylon racing inside of canyons. Scoop jump as fast as possible. Yeah. Okay. I call that ludicrous mode. Scoop and go. Maybe not even a full scoop, just go. Scoop and go. This is going to be interesting terrain. This is going to be interesting. Huh. Not what I would expect, but let's see what we have here. And there's the fonticula. And I swear I saw, for a moment, bacteria pop up over there, but there's fonticula right there. I'm not going to get it yet. Is that what it's going to look like on this planet? Oh, it's a rock. Okay. Lepidia is nice looking though. As fonticulas go, it's kind of a nice looking. We'll see it much closer if I can find the bacteria first. Let's hit the ground while we're at it, okay? Let's see if we can. Usually when Informan's involved, it usually puts one fairly close to where you drop out at. I'm hoping it's going to be highly visible, but it may not be. Nope, it's highly visible. Okay. Like I say, it usually puts one pretty close to where you drop out at. I'm gonna need landing gear for this one. I am ready for breakfast now. Thanks to Options, talking about a sausage sandwich. You making a egg casserole this morning or French toast? What's it going to be there, Cal?
Bacterium informem confirmed present. Base value 8.42 million. Minimum sample
Let's tell you
distance
options. I made
500 meters.
what would have been biscuits
First partial
normally,
sample collected.
but I put brown sugar and I put peanut butter in it, and it was good. It's still good. I wasn't sure how the peanut butter was going to work, but I thought, instead of putting a little oil in there, I'll just put peanut butter because it's got oil in it, and it worked out really well. Tasted good too. I can actually taste the peanut butter. Let's try way over there and see if we get lucky. In the smooth areas, looking for more Informin.
Minimum distance reached.
Give it a
You've
second for
traveled
maybe
over
some miracle
500 meters from
rendering to
previous
pop up.
sample.
Aha. I think it's laying right on top of it, maybe. Got it. We'll see. I'll join the crowd. I've been playing since 2020 and I'm still learning things. Hey, Anonymous, welcome in. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well today.
Second partial sample collected.
One more of these, then we'll go after the Fonticula. Maybe we'll get lucky and find some Informin right next to some Fonticula. That'd be nice.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves though. Let's keep looking for the Informin. We'll take whatever we can get. There's some. Right next to some Fonticula. Perfect. Well, that happens sometimes. I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose. It might have been just their understanding. I've done that. There was a guy that came into my chat one time and asked me something, and I gave him wrong information. And about 2 months later, he came back in my chat, and I remembered him. And the very first thing I said to him, I apologized to him. I said, dude, I gave you the wrong information.
Sample collection complete.
No big deal to him, but, you know, I felt real bad. Okay. We want the video. That's the whole point here. Isn't that cool looking though? The amount of detail on some of these things in this game.
Fonticula lapida confirmed present. Base value 3.11 million. Minimum sample distance 500 meters. First partial sample collected.
Well, I'll be the first to tell you that I don't know. If I don't know something, I'm not going to sit there and, you know, well, let me rephrase that. I'll tell you I don't know. I might make a guess, but I'll tell you right off the bat. You know, I might be wrong, but this is what I think. Let's see. Here's more. I don't think we're far enough yet.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Doesn't look like it's gonna be too tough to find this stuff here. That's kind of what shields are for, right? Scratch across the ground a little bit. I hope you recovered from the bad information, though. Bet you learned the right way, though. The right information.
Second partial sample collected.
Last one, then we'll move on. This will put us really close to 300 million. I mean, I don't think it'd be quite 300 million, but close.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
You know, the pity off in the distance there. Lapidia, I don't know how they say it. Even though I hear the voice tell me how to say it, I continue to mispronounce it. That's how I've learned it. Hey, Black Sheep, welcome in. Welcome in. How are you today? Okay.
Sample collection complete.
Oh no. I feel fortunate. I've never suffered from migraines. My wife, on the other hand, has. And I feel for you. And before I had my sinus surgeries, I had lots of sinus headaches, so those are painful. But back in my Air Force days, I remember standing in front of this doctor at a doctor's appointment, and my head hurt so bad, so bad. I had pan-sinusitis. All of my sinus cavities were full and inflamed or infected or whatever. I remember tears running down my face, and I am banging my fists on the table saying, just give me something for the effing pain. It literally felt like someone took a railroad spike or something and was like punching it through my head between my eyes. It was just really bad. But after I got my sinus surgeries, I've had 4 sinus surgeries over the years. Pretty much don't have anything left in my sinus cavities. I've had no problems. I used to wake up every day about 9 o'clock. I'd start getting a sinus headache. It was just like clockwork. But after I got my first couple of sinus surgeries, that stopped. Well, there's nothing else in this system anyway that I want, so let's go. We will not make I will not make 61 jumps back to the carrier. I'm going to be ending here in a little bit. I'll start taking big jumps back towards, in fact, I might do that after the next system. Start taking big jumps back towards the carrier. Hey, I'll be here. I'll be here for 2 more minutes.
that light the dark.
Leaving system.
Every star tells a story. Every star shows the way.
Hey, Cal, have you left the bubble yet?
That I'll discover today. I'll discover today.
Gathering information. Cartography updated.
Log update, mining metals pure. Asteroid split and
Well, never mind. It doesn't matter. I was gonna say, if you could put a limpet controller on your ship and bring it out. No. Now, if you could put a limpet controller and put it on your ship and bring it out and then put it in and sell it or on the carrier, but you can't do a module. You can only do ships and commodities.
I find the flames.
I did not even notice the count.
Every star tells a story.
Okay, nothing here. Let me go ahead and do what I said I was gonna do. Go back to big route, big jumps. Plot course back toward the Odyssey. That's what we're gonna turn in 10 jumps, much better.
Every star tells a story.
Adjusting for jump.
Every star shows the way.
Ooh, I got a pay raise, guys. Got my first military retirement of the year paycheck, and I guess there's a cost of living increase in it. That was nice.
Gathering information. Cartography updated.
Nothing here.
Course adjustment. Completing system scan. Standby.
No. No. And to be fair, my higher of those two things, my higher priority would be the graphics card right now because it's not the middle of summer. And I have an air conditioner upstairs with heat and stuff, so. But also, to be fair, a graphics card will be cheaper. I guess it would be, you know. I'll put a Throne wish list thing up with the graphics card on it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that'll happen real quick. Well, other people do things like that, though. I'm actually okay on. I mean, I can live with this graphics card. When worst comes to worst, if I can find a good deal on a graphics card when I can afford it, I will get one. But There's absolutely no hurry on that. Probably, let's see, about March, I'll probably start, getting more interest in the downstairs air conditioner.
Body 3D. Landable with atmosphere. Methane atmospheric landable with life. May host a new
I don't know,
personal
but with this
codex
winter,
entry.
the way it's been, I don't know how long it's going to last. It'll be biatching cold. You still snowed in there, Cal? I mean, are you able finally to drive or to get out of your neighborhood?
Body 4A. Landable with atmosphere. Argon atmospheric landable with life. Body 4B. Landable with atmosphere. Argon atmospheric landable with life.
All these argons have cheap bacteria and cheap funticuli. You able to get out? Oh, that's nice of them. My new motherboard, let me check the post office thing. It's supposed to be out. Should be arriving today, my new motherboard, my new used motherboard I bought off of eBay. Still not showing out for delivery yet though. But it's supposed to be here by 9 o'clock tonight or today. My other computer has nothing. No, I don't need that other computer, but I want it to try to do some gaming on Linux with it, and maybe
Body 2.
go to a multiple
Close binary
PC set up
relative
for
to body
streaming.
size.
$14 bodies. Well, I've used Linux for many years. In fact, up until 2020, I didn't really have a Windows machine. And then I discovered Twitch, and I discovered Elite Dangerous. Some guy playing Elite Dangerous, and I fell in love with it. But I couldn't play it on Linux at the time. Playing games on Linux back then was almost impossible. It could be done by some people, but not by me. But now, I've installed Linux on several other computers and ran Elite Dangerous on it. It pretty much runs out of the box with the modern Linuxes and environments. So, and several other games ran too. So it's come a long way. And things run faster though on Linux. Let's see the honk now. Well, Linux isn't as bloated, but it depends on the distribution and what all you install. I mean, Linux isn't the... well, I prefer Linux over Windows, as a operating, certainly as a server, which is most of my experience in my career has been working on and maintaining and, Linux servers. And in fact, my last job I worked at, my desktop computers were all Linux computers. Everybody else had Windows. I preferred Linux. And but my job entailed working on Linux servers, so maintaining them as a system administrator and database administrator on Linux boxes. And that doesn't mean that I know a whole lot about setting up games though on Linux, depending on the variety. But there are several distributions now of Linux that Steam installs right on, and you just, literally, you click on a game, and it downloads it and installs it and runs it, and it either runs or it doesn't. But many games, and it has an environment to simulate Windows, Proton, or Wine, depending which what you use, but and it works pretty well. It works a lot better than it used to. Well, Steam OS, yeah, and that's the same thing though. I mean, quite literally, it's the same thing. It's just a different UI and stuff around, you know, the same type of Linux things that were running on. In fact, Brazite, is it Brazite? One of the things, you can tell it to basically look like a Steam OS,
To next system.
you know, desktop or, you know, game controller or whatever environments they have for the thing. If you want. I didn't, but plus there's several other things other than Steam that, you know, like the Epic Launcher and things.
Scan for cartography.
There's a thing called Ludicrous and Hero that you can use to install, like the Epic Launcher and other things, and they work. You know, that doesn't mean all the Epic games will work, but I mean, I've ran Elite Dangerous via the Epic Launcher under Linux, and I've ran it under Steam. And I won't say with no problems. At first I had all kinds of problems, but once I put a real video card in there, the game would run, but it never got past the generating shaders. But once I put a real, you know, video card in there, it ran no problem.
Every signal that they send back shows us worlds that can't be done. But who's out there in the black tonight?
I'm trying to get Elite Observatory Core to run. I need to get back to that. I've got it to run, but it crashes during certain things, so I've got to do some tweaking on the environment. I need to put it in a bottle. I haven't tried putting it in what's called a bottle container yet. It's basically it's kind of like a Windows virtual machine, but it's not quite the same thing.
And show us how to dare. They've been gone for months now, but their data keeps on coming. Nebulae and asteroid field systems where 3 suns are humming. Every
But I was hoping to get away to running Elite on a lower powered, not, you know, machine compared to the gaming machine I'm using now. My gaming machine is not high powered. It's a Ryzen 5 36, 38, something, I don't know. It's not the most powerful thing. It's got 32 gig of RAM and stuff, but and SSDs. And none of the other computers I have that much muscle.
Ads starting in 1 minute.
But it runs. If it runs with a relatively good frame rate, I'm happy. I don't need, you know, 120 FPS and things.
step out and show us how to dare.
Now, other gamers might. And I certainly wouldn't try to run, I wouldn't be able to run VR on Linux on those computers. Now, on that hardware, on different hardware, you might be able to, though.
Jumping to next system.
For that matter, I haven't even, I need to charge my Quest headset and stuff. I haven't even ran VR a couple of months on this computer. The new kind of wore off for me. It's super cool to play in VR though. But I need more buttons on my joystick and stuff. I kept having to look at the keyboard too often. Two bodies, 2 stars. Oh, we're making good time. We'll be back in the carrier in no time. Get back to the carrier and turn in. And I'll call it for now. I'll try to stream about,
Adjusting for jump.
I don't know. It depends on whether my motherboard gets here before then or how long shopping and stuff takes. But I will stream again on Twitch today, later today. And I plan on streaming on YouTube and Kick today also.
Scanning.
I've seen the edge of everything we know, where starlight bends and time
This
moves
is
slow
Tritium mining on one of those streams.
through the cosmic deep, while you're still bound to Earth's embrace, safe in sleep.
Maybe I can find somebody else that's out here already that brought a Panther Clipper with some limpets. Once again, I'm sitting there talking. I didn't notice the honk. Okay, we got bodies here. What kind of bodies have we got? No Earth-like, so let's see.
I carry us all, every breath I take in, the endless fall. The universe is calling my name, and I won't turn back, won't stay the same. Across the void.
Mind another stratum tectonic could have pushed me over 300 million. I'm at 270 million right now. So I'm not going to be upset if I don't find anything worthwhile on the way back. It's been a good stream monetarily wise, more in real life and in game. Is there still something there hiding? There is, isn't there? No life found. Class T brown dwarf.
Leaving system.
Gravity fails and the engines die. I think of your voice beneath the alien sky. Every world I've walked, every star I've mapped is a letter I'm writing that can't be sent back.
Can't scoop their commander. 11 bodies.
Us all, every breath I take breaks the protocol. The universe.
They're all rocky bodies. Oh, I see.
Brother, I'm coming home with stories you won't believe.
Well, that was beneficial.
Vectors. Hyperspace checking systems map complete. Gathering information. Photography updated.
Twelve bodies.
Body 1. Landable with atmosphere.
Possibly stratum
Sulfur
tectonic. huh?
dioxide atmospheric landable with life.
Unlikely, but it's possible. So we'll let this game and see.
Body 4. Landable with atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide atmospheric landable. Body 2.
Definite,
Landable with
definite
atmosphere.
stratum
Carbon
tectonica.
dioxide atmospheric landable with life. Has high biological value. Body 3. Landable with atmosphere. Carbon dioxide atmospheric landable.
Okay. I'm going to take a very, very short break to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, then we'll go with the stratum tectonica. I'll hang loose a moment.
I charted courses through the dark, where asteroids dance and plasma sparks. My ship cuts through the cosmic dust. In elite commander, we trust. The void calls out my name tonight as I navigate by starlight. The galaxy awaits. Beyond these pearly gates, I am the forerunner, breaking through the night, forging paths where others fear to fly. Commander of the stars, burning satellite bright in this endless space. I will never die. La 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 la, across the Milky Way. La 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 la, I'll find another day. Rocky wings and meteor storms, I carry on, my spirit transforms. Combat sirens pierce the silence deep, while enemy ships around me sweep. But courage flows within my veins as pulse lasers
Okay.
break their chains.
Planet 1 has one biosignal, possibly stratum, but Planet 2 has two biosignals. It's definitely got stratum, so let's go check out one real quick and see if it's. Let's get close. Wow, the next jump is the carrier. How fortuitous. Assuming this is undiscovered, it was unmapped, so I assume we'll find out. Let me check that, damn it. Okay, it's mine.
Dans l'immensité de l'espace profond, je vole vers un avenir fécond. Les étoiles me montrent le chemin vers un destin plus que certain. I am the forerunner, breaking through the night, forging paths where others fear to fly.
Odds are this is going to be bacteria, not the stratum, but gotta check. Don't know until you check it. Still excited about finding stratum tectonica on that oxygen world, despite options saying that he's found it there too. I'd never found it on an oxygen world before. There's only two things I'd ever seen on an oxygen world, and that was Fonticular fluctus and Volobacteria.
remember when I was afraid to leave. Everything I knew slipping away from me. But something pulled me further than before, past the lines they said I shouldn't explore. Each mile takes me deeper into what I'm meant to be. The fear gets weaker.
Perfect. You nailed that backside.
Body
Oh, it's
one.
stratum. There's
May
two
host a
stratums in
high-value
the system.
biological.
Nice.
Where stars got my way, I'm never alone in the endless parade.
Well, it says there's stratum there. I don't see any blue yet. This ought to be fun. Hey, Terrible. Welcome in. There's some blue dots. Okay, I was like getting worried for a minute. I was like, I don't see any blue yet. Supposed to be stratum tectonica down there. We shall see. How are you doing? Let's try over here. Starting your weekend off? Sweet. I was getting ready to wrap up. I'm one jump away from my destination, the carrier, going back to the carrier to turn in. And the last jump here has 2 stratum tectonicas in it, so taking a momentary delay before I end my stream. I already found the one earlier. Oh, how long have I been streaming? 3.5 hours. I've got 272 million so far. And this will be another 200, almost 180 million more with these 2 stratums, so be all right. Shut up. I'm hungry. I'm starving now.
Now I send this message back to you. From the edge of everything we thought we knew.
Now stratum often just appears right in front of me like it just did. Okay, not a very large amount of it, so hopefully it won't be too hard to find here. We'll see. I don't need massive patches of it, but I do need some to be found. Of course, it was suitable until the last moment, right? Of course. Come on, Mandalay Park.
Looking at the stars through my window tonight. Never thought I'd
Must be a pebble down there. Rock. A zip tie. Something on the ground stopping me from landing.
Time to leave the world we've always known. There's no map where I'm going, no footsteps I can follow.
Yeah, I'm out here with the Distant Worlds people. I'm already at Rendezvous Point. So
Stratum
I've been out here
tectonicus
for
confirmed
days.
present. Base value 19.01 million. Minimum sample distance 500 meters. First partial sample collected.
20,000 light years. That's not too far. What kind of ship are you in? Are you in Anaconda? What ship was you flying before? I forget. Let's see. Yeah, the Anaconda. Okay. Yeah, I got a memory. I try hard to remember things about people. But remembering that you had an Anaconda wasn't that hard because no one uses an anaconda nowadays. That's why I remember it. And the problem is remembering who it was with. Have we gone far enough yet?
Minimum distance
Okay.
reached.
Thank
You've
you.
traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Let me land. Really? I'll walk. I don't care. We'll walk for Stratum Tectonica. Well, there's nothing wrong with the Jumpaconda. I'm just... There are better things. There are better options nowadays. I'm in one of them. At least for jump range and stuff. I see gravity here. Where'd it go? There it is. I see it. Well, that's the bacteria. I was like, what is that? Pretty green.
Second partial sample
Lime.
collected.
Out here in the silence, charting every star. The curious cat keeps flying.
400 relics, yeah. Hey, Mark Gamer, welcome in. How are you doing today?
1,000 worlds behind me.
I get ready to end my stream and people start showing up.
Still I keep on searching.
Got to get shopping done, but I will be streaming again later. Y'all show up then.
They said it was a legend, a color no
I still got another planet to do after this one, and we get more Stratum Tectonica.
inside me
Okay.
believes in
There's some over there. Is that far enough? Oh,
Minimum
there's
distance
some more up
reached.
there.
You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample.
Shit ton of it here.
whisper to the darkness.
But what are the odds of being able to land here?
I'm reaching for the wonder that they say can't be
We'll land for Stratum Tectonica somewhere. I can hear where.
till I turn this around. Every empty planet makes me more sure there's something rare and sacred worth searching for. And the curious cat keeps purring
Got it.
through the void so wide. Faith is my companion, hope
I was telling Terrible Tooth, I stumbled across him and he was in an anaconda. I was like, you're an anaconda? I used to be the thing, though. I never had a Jumpaconda. I used to be like a status symbol and stuff, though.
I'm reaching for the wonder that they say can't be found. Find
Sample collection
Well,
complete.
let's go to Planet 2 and do the same thing again.
every empty planet makes me more sure
Wait a minute.
something
This planet doesn't have bacteria, so what was glowing while over there? Oh, it's not here now. Oh well.
jade across the black. Green gas giants calling. I'm never going back. Oh, I found my mirror.
I'm a miracle, my beautiful green mirror.
I know I've seen several people use anacondas for Thargoids before. Yeah, 50 light years is okay. 75, 80 is better.
I call you forward past the pall of charted skies, each unknown horizon moving rivers of the wise.
Willing to bet real money I'm going to zip pie this thing.
In your sight, you reach for radiance undaunted.
But we shall endeavor to not do that.
Spirals I implore, with every
Spiral,
echo
spiral, spiral.
I see you scan.
Spiral. Don't lose the spiral. Come on. You had a nice spiral coming in. There we go. We got it. We got it.
Simply push on through. Are you afraid?
Well, yeah, I understand that. You know, in a ship that you're going to have for combat, that's really going to cut back on your jump range.
Still you answer, always answer
All that
with the
non-essential stuff for exploration.
ascend above the aching arc.
Calfrost Seasons there was in chat a while ago. Was talking about my Mandalay and I need to beef it up and stuff. I said, no, I'm not giving up my jump range to beef up my Mandalay. I have another Mandalay for that purpose.
I call to you across the filament of fate. Thrusters blazing courage, you refuse to hesitate. Meteor
Excuse me. There you go, Terrible. Mart's AX pilot.
ridges, restless ridings. This is where you belong. And as the silence
But you won't see my ugly ass yawning and stuff. I don't know why I'm yawning so much.
everything's amazed, you chart
I did sleep well last night.
with every surge you're shifting out tomorrow will appear. Do you remember? I sigh, the worry in our eyes, yet you carry on relentless towards unmeasured prize. You answer, always answer with the force that never dies. Ascend, ascend above the aching arc. Ascend, words and multiplies. I watch you rise, become what you remain. Ascend, ascend, my fearless friend. Ascend. Beyond the silver nebulae, a legacy refines. Beacons burning, yearning, casting trails in crooked lines. I say ascend, I say
Body
ascend
2
inside this
has high
tide of
biological
time.
value.
Again.
Well, you know where we're going. We're going to go get some stratum where we're going.
I say ascend, 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 I say ascend. Ascend and never end.
I prefer to if it was on darker terrain, but it is what it is.
Orbital flight engaged. Orbital rendezvous procedures initiated.
I really haven't done much AX stuff
Online.
other than the Titan. Not even just with the one Titan at Seoul. That's the only time I really got involved with AX stuff. And a couple of AX zones while I was waiting for the Titan to arrive. Killed some scouts, that was about it. Found out scouts were not scary at all. 44G, Commander. No. Well, yeah, that's fine if someone else is there. If I can get a couple of licks in and let y'all kill the thing, I don't care. I got a revise if you need it. Come on, be nice. Pop it right in front of me. Okay, there it is. And there's bacteria too, but we're not going to worry about that bacteria.
Week 12 since last station. Fuel running thin again. Stars calling from systems unexplored.
And this joystick has it's got such a big dead zone and no fine adjustment to slow down the sensitivity or decrease the sensitivity around the dead zone. Doesn't have sensitivity curves to program, so that's unfortunate.
Stars calling, her courage burning bright. Watch her go into the endless dawn. Stars calling, enter of the void, breaking through the field. Stars calling,
Stratum Tectonicas confirmed present. Base value 19.01 million, minimum sample distance 500 meters. First partial sample collected.
Stars calling for those who dare to venture where. Stars calling, watch her go into the endless dawn.
Minimum distance reached. You've traveled over 500 meters from previous sample. Ads starting in 1 minute.
Oh boy. Can hardly wait.
Between the rocks and stars tonight, scanning wide and deep.
Second partial sample collected.
Crystals bright. These treasures I will keep. Moving slow, precise and strong, where no one else would dare. Found my path where I belong.
One last one. And we'll be done.
The distance calls my
Jumping back to the
name.
carrier and turn in, and then I'll end.
Each moment not the same, as patterns start to sway. In fields of stone, I found my throne among the cosmic dust and
Minimum
light.
distance
What
reached.
others fear,
You've
I
traveled
won't
over
stop
500
till
meters
I
from
came
previous sample.
on the night. In the night.
Hey, the Terrible Twos has come online. Everybody watch your kids and your wife and everything else. Just kidding.
Quick moves through asteroid rain. Trust my skills and discipline. Break free from their chain. Every blast lights up the black, but they won't catch me here. Leave no trace, no turning.
You gonna be streaming Terrible?
Threats disappear. The distance knows my game. Each move I make today, no two paths quite the same. As patterns lead the way.
Sample collection complete.
In fields of stone,
That's twice. I landed right on top of it. I should just look down. I've been heading lead in the teleport area.
danger turns to pure relief. Reading signs that few can find.
Rendezvous point.
In fields of stone, I found my throne among the cosmic dust and light.
I'll head to the Odyssey carrier. Turn in. They've got Vista Genomics and stuff there. I was having to go to Distant Ganks 3's carrier because the carrier I'm on doesn't have Vista Genomics and everything, so I had to go to the other carrier to turn in.
Okay.
Ooh, there are commanders here, as it'd be expected in the private group. That's okay, Cal. We know you're allergic to cares. The bears, Care Bears. That's good for Moag back in the bubble. I was talking about how long it takes to drop out of Super Cruise at this carrier in this instance. Well, not just this carrier, but a lot of carriers here. My motherboard is now in the a nearby city. We shall see. I'm sure it'll make it here today at some point. Well, Universal Cartographics shouldn't take too long. I don't have a lot of data, so. No, I don't have a whole lot of data. Might have been wrong about the long, though. Let's go turn in and see if we really do have 462 million. See who we bump into in the hallway. I forget there are real people here. That's kind of cool. Assuming I instance with anybody. Normally there's people on the carrier. I have this. This is it. This is what I have. 92 million credits base value. 462 million. Almost half a billion in 3 hours and 54 minutes.
I feel the thrust against my spine.
Hi there.
Pushing past the danger line.
I don't know how to salute, but I can point at you. Oh well. I don't remember the hotkey for salute. I didn't even know to catch what name was on there. He was eager to turn in his exobiology too.
Every shot must hit its mark. You can't catch me flying free through the black between the worlds. You can't stop me.
It wasn't a bad turn in though. Streams go, this has been fairly profitable. So I average about 300 million in a 3-hour stream, so sometimes better, sometimes worse. Alright, I'm going to call it here though, guys. I'm going to just leave my ship parked here. Go get dressed and go grocery shopping. Get that out of the way, get some breakfast done. Appreciate you guys coming in. You guys won't have anyone in mind y'all might want to raid? I do not know who's on. Or who's currently streaming. But I will find out. I will try to have a good day. Fiery Toad is on. Padre? Is Padre on? Father Bill? Okay. We can raid Padre. Let's do that. I'll set this up. Oh, it's right there. How convenient. All right, guys. Thanks very much for coming in. I'll send you guys on the way. Y'all guys be sure to say hi. And I'll be streaming later this evening. If you see me on, drop in and say hi. Fly dangerous, commanders. Let's go.
Fly dangerous through the killing dawn. Fly dangerous, reaching for death. Hunt across the void of black. Credits burning, no way back. Target locked in scanner's eye. Chase the prize or fall and die. Engines scream through astral fields. Every risk the frontier yields. Wanted ships and bounty scores. Death awaits at distant shores. Fly dangerous through the killing dawn. Fly dangerous, make your final mark in the void where cowards tread away. We charge forward, claim the day. Fly dangerous, risk is all we are. Fly dangerous. Among the dying stars. In the wreckage, credits earned. Lessons written bridges burn.